on, ladies and gentlemen? Been a while, but I am back on a little bait making grind here. Just heating up the old heat gun. Got most of my supplies ready. The clay, got my box. Heating up the gun so I can seal the bottom of this. And then I'll pack this clay in there. Kind of got a line going of how high I need to go. And we're actually going to be doing this guy today. Finally got my symmetry all looking good. All nice how I want it. Got my nice little jawline. And then I'll do a soft plastic tail on the back. So there's a lot of fun and testing and trial. This is where I think most of the bait makers spend a year testing before they even let y'all know they have a bait in the making. But yeah, we'll check back in later and through the process. I think my heat gun's definitely done over here, so I'm gonna glue this little guy up, seam it up, and we'll check back in. Yeet. All right, little check back in. So we got the super glue seam all the way around. Doesn't have to be perfect. This has no impact on the inside of your silicone mold, so you're really just trying to make sure you're getting a seal. So if anything does make it past your clay bed and down these cracks, it's not going to come out. So just it takes a couple minutes, so it's worth doing, especially if you're doing this indoors like I am. All right, till we come back. Whoop. All right, so we got some of the buck started. Roll it out flat. Kind of get my idea of how thick I want to go. Do a couple layers. It's just easier to fold and manipulate thinner clay than it is a giant brick of it. But yeah, we'll get this back in there and keep on trucking. See you in a few. All right, so now we got a bed of clay down there. Smoothed it out. When you're laying it all in there, it can be hard to get a smooth bed, but if you just go and put some water on there, it'll loosen it up. You'll be able to get a really nice, good enough finish. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see, like, my other one wasn't perfect. What needs to be perfect is what you're pushing into and carving out down here. We'll kind of go over how that all works out, but yeah, all this outside stuff won't matter. Most of this bed won't matter. It's really what's going to matter is where I put these pieces and what's under there. I don't have to worry about that too much because I kind of carve out enough to get this halfway in and then push it in, and it kind of smooths everything out. This is what I did on this one, and you can see the casting cavities are all fine. They're a little dusty. It's all dust in there, but they came out good. I still haven't cut the ports out or the vents. It's all right though. That's just a couple little slits with the razor blade. But yeah, so now we're gonna kind of figure out where we want this. And now what I'm gonna do is score a line around these. Doesn't have to be perfect, just general reference line. Probably use razor blade or like a metal pick or something, but just a general trace. And then I'll take these out and scoop out clay enough to where I can sink half that head, half that body, half that tail embedded into that clay bed there. That's all pretty easy. And again, when you take this, like, let's do this piece. I'll score a line, I'll take a spoon and just scoop out pieces of clay. And obviously it's not, I'm gonna have lines in there from taking multiple scoops. But what I'll go back and do is get my finger wet and rub it all in there and smooth it out. And then I'll reposition this in there. And water and this actually makes like a concrete kind of mixture. So it'll all work out perfect. And we'll kind of give you some updates along the way. For now, we are going to trace with the razor blade. All right, check back in with you in a bit. Yeet. What is up, y'all? Another check-in. So I kind of got this head embedded. This bottom side is actually going to be like the skinny side that you see there, whereas on that one I made it on top. I'm going to make the skinny side the bottom on this one, just to, you know, see what the differences are between have a skinny flat or a skinny top versus skinny bottom. But what I'm doing right now is just picking out, kind of show you all this little process real quick. Decided not to dirty a spoon on this and just actually use some clay tools this time. But that's ultimately the goal, is to scoop out a little pool of clay so that I can then stick that little ball down in there. And I'll probably have like a third, maybe a quarter of it in this bottom, and then 2/3 to 3/4 will be the top. We're gonna see how that actually pours. And then I'll have to put my vents and pour spouts all in here, but I'll show all that to you next. I just kind of wanted to show you how annoying and fun this can be. Getting all this out, making a little pool. Trying to be gentle so you don't cut through the bottom of it. Expose the plastic and the glue you got down there. But yeah, I'm gonna put the phone down, keep digging away at this, and check back in with y'all in a little bit. All right, yeet. All right, we are back. I got them all seated. I've got a good seam. Let me spin it. A good seam all the way around. Everything's looking good. You need to make sure that you got a good seam. Like I might need to come back right here, maybe a little under here too. You don't really want any shadows. You want it to be all nice and embedded in there, more like this side is. Looks really good in here. This shadow I need to fix actually right there. But it's a lot of using this tool. And I'll get this part wet, and it basically like push in and smooth. I'll bring clay into that crease and smooth it. And then I can use this one as well. This one's nice because I can come in under here and kind of push clay into that seam a little bit. So you can see how that black turned kind of white right there. See if I can do that one-handed on this one. That's getting a little better. I need to do that two-handed because I need to push some clay from here into that a little bit more and then smooth it. But this tool works great for like these curved edges to get under there really well. This one works great to actually like really push down into it as well. Problem is, y'all, one thing you want to take into consideration when you're making these mold boxes is how deep they are and how narrow they are. So I'm having a real hard time like getting these tools down in where I need to get them. Whereas had I done just a little bit wider, I think it would have worked out a little bit better to get some tools down in there, but whatever. This wasn't too bad. We'll get there. And then the next, I will mix up some silicone and kind of have fun pouring that with y'all. All right, check back in a bit. Yeet. All right, now we are going to actually mix some silicone together. So you can see I got part A, part B. Use this little Nike Pro 30A, and it's equal parts. So, you know, I have a measuring cup here. You can either measure it. I actually prefer to do it on a scale. So we'll turn it on here. Put your scale on, tear it, and then you just weigh out. You know, what a lot of guys will do is fill this up with water and then pour it in a cup, see how many milliliters that is. I'm just gonna eyeball this and probably do a whole cup of A and a whole cup of B, and I think that'll be enough to give me the sheet I need over that. If not, I have enough settle time on this to quickly mix up another cup if needed, so I'm not terribly worried about that. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and spend the next forever stirring silicone and trying to do it as gently as I can so that I don't put as many bubbles into the silicone as I'm stirring it. Once I've got it all stirred, mixed in really well, let it sit for a minute, just let some air bubbles pop, and then I'll come back when I show you, to show y'all pouring this first thin coat over it so you can get all the micro bubbles off the coat that's actually on the mold before you drench it in silicone. All right, so y'all wish me and my arms luck with stirring. See y'all in a bit. Eat. All right, now time to kind of do this first little layer of silicone. So what I'm gonna do, I've stirred this up really well, let it sit for a minute. Whatever bubbles were at the surface at least have come out pretty good. All right, so now I'm just gonna actually take the stick and go over it just with a drip till I've got it all coated really good. Get another drip. What this is doing, this silicone, it bubbles up. It's almost like it's heating up in there, activating these bubbles. And they come to the surface and pop. And you want to put these thin layers on first so that it gets like a kind of a hardened, bubble-free, like thin bubbles will come to the surface and pop. But if you have a thick layer on, some of those bubbles can get trapped. And whenever you go to pull this out, you'll see the bubbles in your actual silicone mold. So you do this first, let the bubbles pop, you get a nice little thin layer, and then if I do get any bubbles beyond, on top of this, it won't matter. You won't see it in my casting, it won't be a big deal. All right, so that's good for that one. We'll move on to the middle section. Oh, and you can see I've got my air vents and my pour spouts. So 3-piece mold, I'm gonna have 3 air vents, 3 pour spouts. All right, so that's got a good little layer going on it. Do this one. All right, and I got everything. Nice thin layer. All right, cool. So now we can go ahead and pour. All right. Will this be enough to cover those ears and that big body? Doesn't look like it. I'm gonna have to mix up some more really quick. All All right, I'm gonna put my phone down and finish this off real quick. See you in a bit. All right, now I've got all the silicone poured. Nice little even coat. I don't see any white. If this pool was too shallow on top, you would see that white blank just glowing through the pool. And it kind of looks like maybe right here, but there's also smoke. There's like this hazy cloud, which you can see this ring that kind of goes. There's some over there. Some of it's reflection from above us, but there's actually like some haziness in the silicone from all those bubbles and the chemical reaction. It kind of just, it's normal. But it's a good solid pour. Even if that is a little bit of white, it's completely under there, way far enough. I actually put 2 extra small little 20-gram pours on top of this, so that's plenty far down in there. I'm feeling really good about this pour. Everything's looking nice and level. Nothing. Oh, we got a little leak. It's coming out of that crack. That's all right. It's not over there. Let's take a look. Oh, sorry, I had to throw a cup in the counter. Though there's also clay in here, so that's also why it's going to look a little dark. Let's see what else. Yeah, for the most part, though, this is fine. This will set up just fine. We'll keep an eye on it, make sure this box doesn't explode on me or anything. I'll go move this over by the sink too, but it's fine. I've got tape all on the inside of this. I've got tape on the corners. I've got screws on 4 sides. I've got super glue along the bottom. You know where I messed up, y'all? I put super glue on the bottom. I did not put super glue up these seams. That's where I messed up. Yeah, it probably would have been a good idea to like put super glue in the cracks that were down like this one. But again, it's not a big deal. This sets up semi-quick, so as we're talking, it's getting harder and harder. Let's see. It looks like all the bubbles have popped. So we're fine. You know, that's only going to get harder and create a seal here any minute now. It's just going to seal itself. So we are perfectly fine, y'all. This one turned out good on the front side. I obviously got to wait for this to cure, flip it all over, take all the clay out that's under there, and then I have to take that Vaseline and coat the other side of the silicone so when I pour new silicone on it, it doesn't stick. But yeah, all the hard stuff's been done. It's all fun and downhill from here. So we'll keep you updated. This is going to take a while. I'd let it sit too till it's no longer tacky. It doesn't leave a fingerprint. Like I'm pretty patient with this. I want it to be a nice, good, cured, solid mold that stays around for a while and doesn't have any issues. So, but we'll check back in. I'll show you the other side process. All right, till then, yeet. What is up, y'all? It is another day. It's now officially daylight out instead of nighttime. But we are back at it. This is now nice and super hard. Let it cure overnight. I got tired last night anyways. But now we get to turn it over. Take all this tape off. Pull all this clay off. I'll paint the silicone inside here with Vaseline and pour more silicone on top. Yeah, I'll kind of show you what this looks like here in a minute. So ultimately, this is really the only silicone flashing and leak that I got on here. Not too bad for a box with as many splits as it had in it. It's kind of nice to see that that's... I might have some flashing, you know, obviously under all of this that I'll have to cut off with some scissors, but that's no biggie. Little flashing came through there, silicone. Nothing crazy though, everything's manageable. everything is gonna be good to go there. All right, so I want to mess with this for a bit, check back in with you in a little while. All right, eat. All right, so I got all that tape off and peeled all that clay off. Now I just gotta kind of come and scrape off all this little residue. Get everything off of here good. Then I'll go take it and wash it off, make it look really good. And then we will come back and flip it over. I don't know. We won't flip it over. We'll come back and we'll paint all of this blue stuff with Vaseline, everything under here too. So when we pour the next batch of silicone on top of this, nothing sticks. Silicone sticks to silicone really well. It'll just end up becoming one piece, and then I'll have to cut my line on the outside. But I want to avoid that, keep this a two-piece. So Vaseline, all this good stuff, and then pour silicone on top of it, let it cure, and then you got your two-piece mold like that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some cleaning done on here, and we'll check back in with you in a bit. All right, eat. What's up, y'all? All right, we are now going to take a paintbrush, get a little Vaseline on it, and just paint everything that's blue. You don't have to put a massive coat on there, but definitely get a nice thin greasy layer on there. And then I even do like my tape wall, which I don't think is really necessary, but I noticed on my last mold I did this and it all released really nice and easy compared to some of the other videos that I've watched of this process. But take your time. You'll see the shine coat on there, so you can tell where you've applied it and where you haven't. I'm just being silly right now. I've already actually put a layer on top of this, but a little extra rub down can't hurt. All right, so that is ultimately got some Vaseline all around it. And then one thing I forgot to do, and I'm a little bummed out, I forgot to put my little anchor holes all through here. So we're gonna have to figure something out. I think I might take a razor blade and just notch out a square in a few places. But I'm not even really sure how well that's gonna work out. Wish I had like a metal straw of some sort that I could punch a hole out and twist it out. Might drill holes in there. That could probably work. Start with a small bit and kind of work my way up. Either way, I'm not sure it's terribly important, because you can always rubber band these things together. But it would be nice to like at least have one here and one here, so I have some idea when I'm clamping it down. But yeah, all right, on to the next step of mixing more silicone and pouring it all on top of here. I'm gonna repeat the same process, put thin layers on first, kind of let it dry for a few minutes, make sure all the air bubbles have popped, and then I'll go back and flood coat it. All right, we'll check back in a bit. Yeet. All right, y'all, we got the bottom layer poured. Little micro bubbles are popping. Notice I built up another frame. I wanted, it was gonna end up being a little bit too thin, I think. I was gonna definitely see white through here, and I didn't want to, so I built up a frame a little bit more, taped it up, and all I used on this literally was just tape, packing tape. And this has been sitting in here for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and this is the only pull right here that's come out. And you can already see the end of it's already dry and clear, so it's about to dam that spot up completely. This side is all looking good. This side's all looking good. That's from the first pour. And then this side is all looking good. That is also from the first pour. That's all dry right there. So we're looking good. Just gonna let that sit probably again overnight, and then I will peel it apart and kind of give you the final look down at that. I will say on this one, I went a lot quicker. Took a lot less, setup and prepare steps. I kind of just got after it on this one, threw it together and mixed my shit and poured it. So I'm really curious to see how this mold looks in comparison to the one that I took like really good care and caution and stirred slowly and mixed gently. And like this one, I poured both A and B in here and just started mixing out of the same cup, whereas last time I poured A into one cup, B into another cup. I actually stirred A in cup A, stirred B in cup B, and then I mixed them two into a third cup evenly. So I had like A on one side of a cup, B on the other side of the cup, and then I stirred that. And I took a lot more time cleaning the surface of the silicone before I wiped it with Vaseline the first time, whereas this one I kind of just took a wet rag, wiped it off, blew it off, let it dry, and I saw little bits of clay here and there, but decided to just go with it. And then the mistake I made in going fast and not trying to like put all my attention into detail on this, the mistake I made was not putting those connecting plugs, which I'll show you on here again. It's basically, oh goodness, knocking my box around. Basically it's these holes. I didn't put any holes, so I'm not going to have the nipples or the holes that connect and make this all line up perfect, but I got solutions for that. I'm going to get little metal straws and just push them in and leave them in, and that way when I put the top piece on, I'll push it on there and it'll be its own little, it'll be a metal anchor this time instead of a silicone one. So technically it should be better. I don't know, we'll see. I might not even need to use it. I think rubber bands and just setting it up will be perfectly fine too. These just make it a lot easier. Worst case scenario, this mold becomes trash and I just have to make a new one. Not a big deal. Granted, one of these blocks is probably like, I don't know, somewhere between $5 and $10 of silicone. So you obviously don't want to just throw this stuff away if you don't have to. But I'm pretty hopeful. The stuff seems to work well, and yeah, I think that this one over here will turn out just as good as this one. Question is, how important are these going to be? The other thing I noticed though, when you're doing this, you can see there's a lip here and it goes all the way around, right? And so I think even without these, I'm still going to have this impression on the other side that when I put the top on, like I'm going to feel some type of connecting cinch, lock in place feeling just by having this wood edge from the box here. So yeah, I think we're good. Feeling pretty positive about this. But yeah, thanks for hanging in there. Got one more, obviously, day. I don't have to wait a day, but I kind of would like to. We'll see what it's feeling like here in a few hours. And if it feels as hard and good as this side, then maybe I'll be back tonight to show you the wrap up on this. But yeah, hope you're all having a good day. Talk to you soon. Yeet. All right, this side is cured. Let's peel some stuff off here. Let's see what we get. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. right. So you can kind of see all that extra silicone. A little bit there, a little bit there. A little piece there. For the most part, you can see your box does not have to be perfect or perfectly sealed. It can be like so bad that it looks like that. You know, cracks, gaps, cardboard held half of that silicone up. So you don't have to really worry about that too much. It's not something you need to invest a whole lot of time and energy on, making sure that box is all super duper perfect. Awesome. All right, well, let's kind of see what this looks like. I'm gonna do something really quick. All right, just wanted to mark that spout there. So I got my texture, no, I got all my texture. It's all there. The head kind of came out a little interesting. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'll have to see how that pours. I might have to do this one over again, or at least do a new head section. I could still use the mid and the tail. Oh, you know what? This is the bottom. That's right. This will be okay. This will end up just being flashing that I can sand off. The actual shape is fine. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's give it a nice little bend first. Maybe a little bend that way. All right. Let's do this. That piece came out good. This one I need to be a little more gentle with because there is ears in this one. Clay is a lot stronger than you think it is. Awesome. And I can see my ears made it down in there good. Texture is really good, and this is the side, the upside, that has all the texture on it. So this side is the bottom side that has a whole lot less and more on the sides but less on the actual bottom. So it turned out good. It has my nose port that I wanted, so I plan on sliding in a nose in there. So that'll work. Try and see if it has, yeah, I mean, it's got a good locking. It's so textured, this and this, that it is its own little puzzle in there. It kind of locks into place and then slide it over. So even though I don't have all the nipples here and the holes here to lock it in, because it's so 3D in here, it's got one place that it wants to actually sit. And then I'll rubber band this one. I'll rubber band the other ones too, but yeah, I can actually use that. That all worked out pretty good. I can spend like half the amount of time doing it this way that I did in my other silicone mold, where I was being super tedious and making sure my glue was all spread thin, and or my hot glue, I should say. You know, instead of tape, I was hot gluing everything and just be more meticulous with it. But ultimately, you don't necessarily need to do that, it looks like. So yeah, cool. I've pretty much got the carving down. I've got, you know, my silicone that I like, the weight, mixtures. I've experimented with different textures, different shapes. You know, I'm getting this hole to this point down pretty good and feeling confident with it. So I think it's time to start pouring resin in these two and learn and experiment through that process. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully I'll have these available to y'all soon too. All right, but other than that, it is getting late. I have a long day of work tomorrow. Hope you have a good rest of the week, and until next time, yeet.